Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for also still being here. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to congratulate Marco. I know that this session is called Successful Exits with a Sequel, and I think NOAH is a great example of successful exit with a successful sequel as well. I think what you've done here over the last couple of days is amazing, and entrepreneurship at its best. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alexander Ribbink. Indeed, I was the COO of TomTom, the navigation and the mapping technology company, from 2003 until 2008. Marco was indeed one of the bankers. I'm now a partner in a venture capital firm, PrimeVentures, the leading Dutch venture capital firm. Based out of Amsterdam, we manage about 275 million euros, and we're currently investing out of our third fund. We do technology, growth companies, and anything from 5 to 20, 25 in the course of our investment is what we try and do in each company. Having said that, TomTom was proudly and defiantly self-financed, and therefore to now be a partner in a VC, it feels slightly strange and nearly unfaithful. We made a lot of jokes about VCs our time at TomTom. It is as if I joined the dark side, and some of you who've negotiated with VCs know what side that is and what side that looks like. TomTom generated a lot of cash from its operations, so much that we're able to keep the company in the hands of the founders and some fortunate option holders until we felt that the time was right to list approximately 20% of the shares in 2005. Let me take you back a little bit and quickly to the story of TomTom. At the time, 2002, 2003, car navigation was something for rich people. It was something for people who owned an Audi, a Mercedes, or a BMW. And it's not that the rest of us never got lost, it's just that more often than not, the price of the car that most people drove in was as much as the option of having sat-nav built in one of those more expensive cars. It was unaffordable. So the need was there, but the prices were prohibitive. And our aim at TomTom, quite simply put, was to get all the other car drivers into car navigation. And we set out to do so on the basis of superior software and superior technology. And my role, and I was not one of the founders, was to market the whole thing, was to bring it to market and make it part of what we said everyday life. And the combination of democratizing car navigation, essentially, by making it affordable, making it very easy and reliable to use, and aggressively building it as if it were a new category, in the minds and the hearts of people in 42 countries, drove the numbers that you're going to see next. I'm not going to dwell too long on those numbers, they speak for themselves, but in a very short period of time, we reached much more than $1 billion in turnover and a very healthy profit at that. So arguably, yes, we were selling aspirin to people with a headache. But in our first year as a hardware with a software core company, we sold 248,000 units. Our budget was 100,000. We oversold 2.5 times. And in 2008, we sold approximately 5 million units. And up until today, well over 50 million TomToms have been sold all over the world. And one of the funner bits of my job was customer support, because we actually received letters from wives and husbands telling them how their marriages were saved by the TomTom in their car. We did, of course, also have a couple of disasters as well. Whether they were our fault or not, we never got sued for them. The people tended to blame their navigation device and not their own faulty thinking or not looking. So there was a lot of cash. We didn't need external investors. So why did we go public? There is the unofficial version, just for the money. But this is wrong. People like to think that, but if even until today, the founders of the company are still employed on a daily basis leading TomTom. So that was not it. What were the real reasons? And they were much more mundane. We want to establish ourselves as a credible and as a company with longevity in the eyes of business partners. We want to become a more attractive employer in the eyes of talent. Of course, we needed money to do acquisitions. Access to capital markets was essential. Of course, there was some money taking off the table or diversifying assets. And yes, well over 100 million euros was used as extra working capital to finance our growth. Another but less apparent benefit was the incredible rigor that an IPO process brings on a company. The stress test, the processes, particularly on the finance and admin side, but in general, I think actually made our company a hell of a lot stronger even before the IPO. Working with companies like Lehman Brothers or Goldman Sachs, who were the lead banks, was a pain, but it was also a gain to some extent. The listing was a great success, well priced, very oversubscribed, and indeed our profile was raised considerably, raised a hell of a lot of money for both the company and the founders. But any other options? Is there things that you'd say, well, don't do this again, or think about listing? Well, here's a couple. An IPO can be a huge distraction. If your company is growing and you saw the numbers, in the meantime, the company was also growing in terms of employees. When I joined the company, we were about 40 people to 2,000 over the course of those years as well. So you're stretched wherever you look. Most meetings, you have people, fewer than one person of every 20-person meeting was longer than 6 months in the company. So there's a bit of, you're stretched. And then an IPO can be a huge distraction on top of it. The art of prospectus writing. All of you who've ever been in the hands of lawyers or bankers, prospectuses are a wonderful tool to think of risks. And you know, it was nearly to the level that if a new ice age happens, TomTom may not be able to sell its car devices anymore. And it was mind-boggling, but then the lawyers were paid by the hour. The last point, and not unimportantly, apart from the other more open doors, is the patent trolls. This American subspecies of a human read about the success, read about the money in the bank, and of course had a go at us again. We got a couple of good lawyers, expanded the legal budget, and fought them off, and never really paid that much to them. But it was an interesting side effect of the IPO. TomTom, I think it never was an exit, therefore. Sorry for the title. But it was something that really enabled further growth at TomTom and was a great stimulus for us to continue, particularly since we only listed a small percentage of the shares and decision-making was still very much fast and furious. I'm nearing the end. Tom Stoppard, an English playwright, he said once that every exit is a new entry. And I joined TomTom because it was a small company, having worked for giants like Unilever and Mars. So I left in 2008 to continue my search for small companies that want to grow big. And the world of venture capital does exactly that. And may I therefore end by wishing all of you many successful exits, listings, and of course the joy of becoming a partner in a VC and working with entrepreneurs like yourselves one day. I wish all of you at TomTom, as a VC, an entrepreneur, and more importantly, as a car driver. Thank you.